broadcasting live from the DNC in Chicago, August 19th through the 23rd. Dominic DePrima, Nicolai Corte, Areva Martin, Adrian Shropshire, and Tavis Smiley will all be in Chicago bringing the convention to you like no other talk station in Southern California for the critical issues and conversations that matter most to you. Keep it locked to KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got Kamala covered.
Zone out. 1, 2. Yo. This goes out to all coasts, East Coast, West Coast, and all across the nation, worldwide. You know what I mean? Relax, kick your feet up, spark one. Let me show you how it's done. Love, baby.
Sunrise starts the day. Lay back, easy. Don't sweat. Simple things.
So simple.
Take your time. Do your thing.
As grains of sand pass from hand to hand, I watch time stand still, I'm just one man. That's out for all, so all should be for one. Grew up on the drum with the JB. The son who spun the record that his pops collected. Went on to create and perfect the unexpected. Funky beat sound, watch the family slide with the right and give cousin a pound. Watch the young ones play and think back in the day when fresh was the style plus the word to say. It's all love now. What? Let me show you how. Take time out and show you what life's about.
Take your time on the line, just the line. Take your time on the line, just the line. Take your time on the line, just the line. Take your time.
Welcome to Areva Martin in real time. I'm your special guest host, Farajii Muhammad. Thank you so much for tuning in to KBLA Talk 1580. Andy, that's so smooth, man. That's smooth. Let me just say this. I'm from the East Coast, y'all. A 4.6, 4.7, 4.5 will get your attention. I'm from the East Coast. Look, let me just tell you, I don't care that joint was 10 seconds or that was 1 minute. That got my attention right there. I hope everybody's enjoying themselves, and I hope that during that brief moment, if you're in Southern California, I'm sure you heard it at this point. It was reported all over the country that we experienced a little shake-up here, and we felt it here at KBLA Talk 1580, just for a brief moment, and it just made us want to reflect and take time, just like, what is going on right now? But, hopefully wherever you are in Southern California that you weren't, injured or, there wasn't any major damage done, but, it just gives in that brief moment, Andy, that's when you realize you're like, you know what? I am not in control. I thank you. Thank God for just giving us a little extra time here, man. Thank God for that. Oh, man. We got a lot to talk about today here on Areva Martin in real time here on KBLA Talk 1580. In a few moments, I'm going to be checking in with my sister, Ashley Banks, who is a Capitol Hill correspondent, talking to us about a number of issues. And speaking of time, one of the big conversation pieces that's happening all across the country is Vice President Kamala Harris, now presidential candidate Kamala Harris, is now on the cover of Time magazine in a very, very flattering illustration. And what does this mean as we're seeing history being made, folks, right before our eyes? It is time. And on the cover, it says her moment. Speaking of time. So we're going to have a conversation about this and so many other things. But before we do, I want to invite you to make sure that you follow us on all of our social media platforms. First and foremost, go to our website at KBLA1580.com, KBLA1580.com. We got a lot of the latest news and information, all of the happenings, things that we're doing here at the station for our beloved community here in this great city of Los Angeles. and the great work that we're doing, the great work that other folks are doing, the conversations that we're having. We're continuing, of course, our climate justice, climate cares initiative that we have started in January and continue to move forward throughout this year. And so many other things, of course. Our illustrious founder, Brother Tavis Smiley, he has his book coming out, The Covenant, 20 years later, talking about those critical conversations. So we're continuing to have those discussions and so much more. But all of that can be found directly on our website at KBLA1580.com. Now, we also invite you to follow us on all social media platforms. Make sure you do your due diligence. Go to KBLA 1580 on Instagram and on the X platform, as well as on Facebook. We would love to connect with you. We'd love to build with you. Love to get your support, get your likes, get your thumbs up, get your retweets, get your shares, because we are doing our part. And as we are embarked on our third year, we are trying to do as much as we can to continue to be unapologetically progressive and unapologetically black. And so just go and follow us on all social media platforms. Also, make sure you follow my sister, Areva Martin. You can find her on social media. She's always doing some fantastic work, some great things for the culture. So make sure you follow her. And you can follow me. Yes, you can follow me. Yours truly, Farajii Muhammad. You can follow me at The Real Farajii. And I would love to connect with you. Farajii is The Real Farajii on Instagram. You can follow me at Farajii on Twitter. And let's have those conversations as we move further along here in a very, very critical and crucial time for so many reasons. So just make sure y'all do your due diligence. And, of course, also you can follow all of your favorite voices, from Brother Tavis Smiley to Sister Dominique DePrima to my sister Robin Ayers, all of the folks, my brother Zoe, and so many other dynamic voices that we have here on the station. Make sure y'all follow us, and let's stay in tune. And let's keep it right on time. All right, let me jump in to welcome my sister, who is, she's a fantastic reporter. She's a wonderful journalist, always giving us the scoop. If you don't know where you can find her, you can check her out on all on her social media platforms. And I truly enjoy just kind of checking out the work that she's doing, because she has those very, very in your face, without the filters, just real conversations with people, with the newsmakers and the change makers that we need to have. So I'm so happy to have my sister joining me once again, my sister Ashley Banks, and you can follow her on social media at Ashley, ASHLEEM Banks on Instagram, and you can see her talking to some of the most prolific and some of the most controversial figures in our political space, but she gets the scoop. I told her lovingly and jokingly she's the TMZ of Washington, because she gets straight to the horse's mouth. So joining me now is Capitol Hill correspondent Ashley Banks. Ashley, thank you so much for joining me once again. It's always a pleasure to talk to you. How you feeling today?
Hey, Farajii, that was one heck of an introduction. So thank you so much. And, of course, I'm so happy to be here on your show today.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I appreciate you for doing the great work. So I had to introduce you properly, because you putting in the work. You putting in the work. All right. Now, you on the East Coast. You didn't experience what we experience here on the West Coast. You didn't experience a little shit.
I did not.
You know what I'm saying?
No.
See, that's what I'm saying. See, that's what happens when you make that transition from East to West. You got to reorient your thinking to deal with the current state of things. But Ashley, first and foremost, and I know we are excited because we're going to have you for this first hour of the show, where you're going to give us a little bit of an analysis and some deep dive in some of these big conversations. But I wanted to kind of, before we take our first pause, I wanted to get your take on where we are with this political season. You have been staying intimately involved and making sure that you're having conversations, not just about the vice president and her campaign, but you're talking to other lawmakers. You've talked to U.S. Representative Byron Donalds from the Republican out of Florida. Of course, you check in with our sister AOC, and talking to her about a number of things. So we got a lot of things happening. But what do you make of this moment that we're in right now? And I'm gonna set this thing up here before we take our first break. Vice President Harris on the cover of Time magazine. And it's a beautiful illustration of the vice president. She is looking to the skies, looking very hopeful, looking very like there is a master plan that's about to be enacted. There's some joy in her face. And the Time magazine cover says it is her moment. And so I want to kind of get your take on this before we take our first pause. What do you make of this moment, Ashley?
Yeah, just what Time Magazine says in its title. I think we are seeing a shift here. When it was Joe Biden and Donald Trump up against each other for this November election, people were just like, okay, not as excited as they are once Biden decided he was going to step aside and let Kamala, who could possibly become the first black woman president of the United States, which is going to be historical if it were to take place. But we see this shift where people are coming out of the woodwork, right? We have Republicans who are posing their support behind this vice president. They don't want to cast their ballot for the party that they normally side for. They don't want this convicted felon to receive their vote. They are literally out here repping for Kamala Harris, right? We even have Nikki Haley voters who are stating, we're voting for Harris. So you just see this momentum that's building up against people of any race and different political backgrounds who are excited. I don't think we've seen this type of excitement in years. People are comparing this to what we saw with President Obama before he was elected. I definitely think there's a comparison there. But like I said, there is a shift. And voters are, once again, some of them at least, are very excited about what could happen in November.
Very, very much so. You talked about that shift. We're going to take a quick pause because speaking of shift, we're going to share with you what Time Magazine had to say about the moment, her moment, and more importantly, about this shift, categorizing this moment as the swiftest vibe shift in modern political history. Wow. The swiftest vibe shift in modern political history. We're going to just do a little bit of a deep dive into what this moment means and more importantly, how it affects progressive and black voters moving forward. Folks, we are going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's continue the conversation with Capitol Hill correspondent Ashley Banks and with you. You're tuned into Areva Martin in real time. I'm Farajii Muhammad, your special guest host, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580. Tavis is like George and Wheezy. He's moving on up. Last year, Tavis was number 45 on the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important radio talk show hosts in America. Wait for it. Wait for it. The 2024 list was recently released, and Tavis has jumped to number 33 on the list of the nation's most important talkers, making him the highest-ranked African-American on the coveted roster. Congratulations to Tavis Smiley from all of us at KBLA Talk 1580. We've got you black. You're listening to KBLA Talk 1580, where climate is king.
Febreze
Fabric Talk. Hey, it's me, your couch. Today's my favorite day of the week, Febreze Fabric Spray Day. The occasional deep cleans are nice, but in between, you know I'm needing a refresh. Ooh, here she comes with the Febreze Fabric Spray. Oh yeah, spritz them armrests. Don't be shy. Nothing like a good spray down to get me smelling so fresh and clean. Don't forget my back. Nice. Febreze Fabric Spray. It's just that easy. Now we can both breathe happy. Febreze. La 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 la.
Always night pads are designed for a perfect night's sleep. So you can do your bear hugging a pillow thing, your free falling starfish thing, your burritoed in a blanket with the AC blasting thing. While Always night pads with rapid dry do their we've got your back with fast absorbency and up to 10 hours of protection thing. So while your period's doing its own thing, Always lets you do your sleep thing. Shop for Always in-store or online, wherever you get your pads.
One bite, yeah.
The California Crusader newspaper would like to thank all of our subscribers for their support throughout the years, proudly serving the South Los Angeles and South Bay areas for more than 40 years. The California Crusader is a multicultural, black-owned, adjudicated newspaper that focuses on providing newsworthy information to the people in our community. We're constantly looking for ways to assist businesses in our community to connect with our subscribers. We provide low-cost, effective ways to promote your business with our reasonable and affordable advertising rates. You can participate by suggesting, sharing, and submitting your stories on the California Crusader newspaper Community Share Facebook group page, or visit our website at cal-cruise-news.com. That's calcruisenews.com. Then click on the Submit Now button located on the top right corner of the homepage, or text CCN to 42828. Again, text CCN to 42828. The California Crusader newspaper, working together to build a better community for our future. Subscribe today.
The way we spend our time defines who we are. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Fine line between love and hate, for real.
Folks, welcome to Areva Martin in real time here on KBLA Talk 1580. I'm your special guest host, Farajii Muhammad, and we are taking some time here to talk about the moment that we find ourselves in, a very, very critical, unprecedented, historic moment that we're in. And I'm always happy to have these conversations to give us some context, to put us in the right frame of mind. And so I'm happy to be joined by my sister, Capitol Hill correspondent. She has written for a number of spaces and publications, from everything from the Griot to many other spaces. And so we're happy to have joining us now Ashley Banks. And y'all make sure y'all follow her on all social media platforms. And she has her own Substacks. And so she's doing some great work making sure that we still get the news and information that we need to make the best decisions and choices. And so, Ashley, you were talking about the Time, and we're talking about Time Magazine's latest cover. It dropped today with Vice President Kamala Harris, and it says on the cover, as part of this, I will say, expose of the Vice President, beautiful illustration, but it says Time's new cover. This is from Time on their social media. They say the reintroduction of Kamala Harris. Harris has pulled off the swiftest vibe shift in modern political history. Harris, a contest that revolved around the cognitive decline of a geriatric president, has been transformed. Joe Biden is out, Harris is in, and a second Donald Trump presidency no longer seems inevitable. Where has this Kamala Harris been all along? In the White House. For years, Democratic officials questioned her political chops, pundits mocked her word salads, and her polling suggested limited appeal. Her performance in the 2020 presidential primary was wooden, and her turn as Biden's number 2 did little to inspire confidence. But judging from the past few weeks, Harris's own party underestimated her. Maybe the crowded 2020 primary just wasn't the right race for Harris to showcase her talents. Maybe the vice presidency wasn't the right role. Suddenly, she seems matched to the moment. Ashley, do you have any issues with how Time Magazine has characterized this moment? Because I got some pushback on this one.
I mean, the description for Joe Biden, I thought was tasteless. But honestly, the bar is low, and this isn't to take away anything from Kamala Harris. The bar was low. I think whoever would have replaced Joe Biden would have probably created some swift movement to show that, Trump's chance of winning re-election is no longer inevitable. I think it's wonderful that we have this black woman, once again, who could possibly become the first black woman to hold the position as president.
Yeah.
But I think saying that, whatever's happening here is like the biggest shift in modern American history, I think it's a stretch.
Yeah.
But once again, I think the bar was low.
Actually, it's the swiftest vibe.
Also, that culturally, it's like, who are they trying to grab with that?
Right. Everybody's trying to catch a vibe nowadays, and it's like,
Yeah. Like, do you guys normally write these titles like this, or are you just doing this for the possible black voters in the black community and the people who would be hip to wanting to read this title, right? Who are you trying to attract here? That's a little icky. But like I said, the bar was low, and I just think that's a lot to say that this is the biggest movement we've seen take place. I just think it's because so many people don't want to see Trump in office again. They're jumping on this bandwagon, on Kamala Harris's bandwagon, because they don't want to see him in office. They don't want to see Project 2025. They don't want to see more of this devastation we've seen across the country, especially when it comes to, abortion rights being stripped away, or the fact that gun reform hasn't taken place, and so on. And so, yeah.
No, and I think that, to your point, that it's a little bit of extra, exaggeration. I think it's a very much more than, what time has put out there. But I think that, again, you mentioned the point that you made earlier, that this level of momentum and excitement is something that we haven't seen since President Obama was making his way into the Oval Office. And it was exciting. Now, the fact is, President Obama, there's a number of differences, obviously. But the big ones, I would say, outside of the fact that this is a woman, it's a black woman, and how she has gotten to this place of a president deciding not to run, but just in a short period of time that she has to work with, compared to President Obama, who seemed like, I remember him making a joke that it took so long for him to campaign that he seen babies grow up. And so, you know what I mean? This whole moment I think it speaks to to where people want to go. I was reading about some data that I came across, and it said that people really weren't happy about a Biden-Trump rematch, right? You and I have talked about this off air. People just weren't happy. So this, when President Biden decided to leave or to not move forward in his reelection, his approval rating with that issue was around 30-something%. And now with Vice President Harris being the nominee for the Democrats, it's like an 81%, right? According to some of the latest data. And so I think it's just about excitement. And I'm one of the big concerns that I do have about this is, as much as it's exciting, it's historic, but how do we make sure that it's not about just symbolism and get down to the substance, to the nitty-gritty, to the policies that she stands for or not stand for? How do we make sure that not just the policies that she stands for, but in the current moment of the way Congress is, you do a lot of your work talking to to Congress people. So how do we get from the excitement of a black woman, a woman being in the big office, to the point of, okay, let's look at the policies? Because there's still a lot of conversation and hesitation and of where she stands on a number of policies, whether it's crime or justice or whether it's immigration. So how do we make that shift? How do we make this vibe shift in that area?
Yeah, I think it starts with voters, voters speaking up. I do know, like Mark Lamont Hill was a couple weeks ago. He was on the same wavelength that you're on, that I was on, where it's like, yeah, this is great. This is historical what we're seeing here. But at the same time, where does she stand? Yeah. What's happening here? Yes, we don't want Trump. but we also need to be able to hold Harris accountable. We haven't heard her plan, and I'm thinking possibly she's going to roll it out during the DNC. But we haven't heard her plan. And all of this excitement has, for a lot of people that I've spoken with, is just the simple fact, we don't want Trump in office. And I've had these conversations offline with friends, and I'm like, how is that enough for you? I'm not saying don't cast your vote for Harris, but as a voter, you have power in who gets to see the office and who doesn't. You have power in holding whoever you want in office, holding them accountable so that they keep their words that they had before entering office. They keep those same words. They keep those promises while they're in office. So Mark Lamont, he came out with like this video and said, just what I'm saying now. And he received so much backlash from people who were saying to him, okay, so you're asking us to hold her accountable, but, you know, by you saying this, you're making it so that people are going to vote for Trump or not want to vote for her. And he's like, that can't be the consensus. That cannot be what you take away from this. So there are so many people who are just getting caught up in the excitement. And I think it's great, once again, to be excited.
Yeah.
But you have to know who you're voting for.
Yeah.
You have to know where her policies are going to stand. Do they align with yours? If they don't, go out there, do whatever you need to do to get to her campaign and say, hey, your policies are not aligning with the Black community. They're not aligning with the Jewish community. They're not aligning, you know, with the Hispanic community. Like, you have to speak up.
Yeah.
Or else she's going to run on whatever she wants to run on. She thinks that because of this excitement, she could easily think that, you know, no one needs to hold her feet to the fire. I'm going to win this race, and I don't need to put out good policy because no one cares. They don't want Trump in office. And it's like, this woman could possibly be the next president of the United States, representing all of us.
Yeah. Yeah.
She needs to know that the pressure is on, that Americans, the average American, wants to make sure that they're being represented. They want to make sure that they can make ends meet, that they can afford housing and rent, that they can have good paying jobs, that people who want to get abortions don't have to secretly travel through, you know, different states to try to get abortions without having to, I don't know, be criminally responsible for wanting to make choices for their own bodies. But people want to make sure that whoever they're voting in office is going to do what they want them to do, because that, once again, that's what we do. We have the power as American citizens to put people in place who we want in place.
All right, now look, we're going to take a quick pause. When we come forward, let's more chatting with Ashley Banks, Capitol Hill correspondent. Folks, stay with us. It's Areva Martin Real Time here on KBLA Talk 1580.
Areva time is the right time. More of Areva Martin in real time when we come forward.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Former President Trump is claiming the Harris campaign used artificial intelligence to create images of large crowds at her swing state rallies. In a post over the weekend on his Truth Social platform, Trump shared an image from Vice President Harris's rally at a Michigan airport saying, quote, "Look, we caught her with a fake crowd. There was nobody there," end quote. In another post, Trump said Harris should be disqualified because the creation of a fake image is election interference. The Harris campaign responded on Truth Social by posting a video of Harris arriving at the Detroit airport showing a large crowd of an estimated 15,000 people greeting the vice president and her running mate Tim Walz. J.D. Vance is defending former President Trump's comments questioning Kamala Harris's racial identity. In an interview with CNN State of the Union, Trump's running mate accused Harris of being a chameleon. The Ohio senator said the vice president is fundamentally a fake person, claiming she's overly scripted and refuses to take questions from the media. That's the latest. I'm Amber Payton on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network.
We've got two big problems in Elysian Park. First, the 110 southbound at Stadium Way. Vehicle fire. The two left lanes are blocked and traffic's jammed back from the 5. And around the corner on the 5 southbound at Stadium Way. Crash there in the center lane. That's got traffic slowed back from Los Feliz. Trying to get through Anaheim Hills. The 91 eastbound at Weir Canyon. Crash there on the right shoulder. And another one in Corona for the 15 southbound past Wyrick Road.
Hi, I'm Kyle at Blindster.com. At Blindster, we offer custom-made faux wood and real wood blinds and shutters, cellular shades, Roman shades, bamboo shades, exterior shades, and more, all at factory direct prices. Don't pay too much for new blinds. Go to blindster.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Rams' backup quarterback situation might be a serious problem for the team. Stetson Bennett led the Rams to a comeback win Sunday over the Dallas Cowboys, but he threw 4 interceptions in the game. That's a high number of turnovers for a preseason game, especially against a defense that used rookies, free agents, and reserve players most of the game. The Rams have 3.5 weeks to figure out what they have in backup quarterbacks behind starter Matthew Stafford. The Associated Press preseason top 25 college football rankings are out. The top 5, Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, and Alabama. USC is 23rd. The Angels are back home after a 3-3 road trip. They play Toronto tonight. The Dodgers are in Milwaukee tonight to start a 7-game road trip. Now that the Summer Olympics are over, the WNBA season will resume Thursday. The LA Sparks will be at home Thursday night against the New York Liberty. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
Yeah, yo, come on. Come to
At KBLA Talk 1580, we fight the power every day.
Yeah, gotta give us what we want. Gotta give us what we need. Hey.
I listen to KBLA and I love the commercials. I know what the commercials mean. I also, if I'm looking and trying to figure something out, I need something to talk to me that might hit me. And it happens on TV because, you know, every time they show a sporting event, they got the pharmaceutical companies back to back to back telling people how to fix the sickness on the same stuff that they sell them. So we get it.
Yep, we get it too, Chuck D. And that's why at KBLA Talk 1580, we don't black down.
Drop it. Our freedom of speech is freedom of death. We got to fight the powers that be. Fight the power. Fight the power.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Stay Housed LA has the resources you need to know your rights and the legal support to back them up. The COVID-19 pandemic has cost people their jobs and livelihoods. This has left an estimated 1/3 of households not being able to make rent and facing losing their homes. This is a fear no one in our community should have to face. You have rights, though, and Stay Housed LA is here to help. Stay Housed LA is a partnership between the County of Los Angeles, the City of Los Angeles, and local community and legal service providers. Together, they provide tenants with the information and support needed to exercise their rights so they can remain safely in their homes. Find out more about your rights by participating in a virtual tenant workshop. Get the legal assistance you need. Find additional resources in Los Angeles County and the City of Los Angeles. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA County for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. Stay connected to Stay Housed LA for updates. This and more at stayhousedla.org. That's stayhousedla.org. Or call their hotline at 213-694-0040. We've got your black with a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
We've got a lot to talk about.
Hi, I'm Ray Richardson, your sports connection here at KBLA Talk 1580. Join me and my co-host Neil Scarborough every Saturday night at 7 for Out of Bounds, the show that brings some flavor to the world of sports for 60 minutes. We take you beyond the scores and press conferences. We give you our point of view, the way black folks see what's going down. You can join the conversation and give us your analysis at 1-800-920-1580. Out of Bounds every Saturday night at 7 on KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
You like the style, though.
There's no time like the present. Let's get back to more of Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
Let's get back to Ashley Banks, who serves as the Capitol Hill correspondent, and she's checking in, one of our contributors here today, to check in and talk to us about the moment that we're in as Vice President Harris continues to blaze the trail for changing the paradigm and shifting the landscape of political discourse and, more importantly, of the future of American politics. It looks like she is on, I would say, on a train to Destiny Ashley, you know, where she has the momentum behind her. Now you got a former president, Trump. We just played it in our news report. Here's this man crying about some photos, some AI, quote unquote, what he believes is to be AI generated photos of her rally in Michigan, I think it was. And she should be disqualified for quote unquote election interference. Get the hell out. Here's a man that's got all these counts. He got all of this baggage that he's trying to bring into the Oval Office, and he's trying to call for a black woman to be disqualified for what he believes to be an AI photo of her rally, when your vice president, nor can he as former president, can attract gnats to a pile of dung. I mean, he's not. His numbers aren't well, and he is seething underneath it all. Ashley, the report came from New York Times, Associated Press. He's calling the woman out of her name because he sees the momentum. He sees as the Time magazine said, the swiftest vibe shift. He's feeling it. He's feeling it. But just to go back to the point that you were speaking of before the pause, that we're in a very important moment, and I think that as much as we talk about the substance, right? And I understand the power of symbolism, and I understand that we do need that, because I'm gonna be honest with you, like I'm not in the camp, Ashley, of being one of those folks that says that we don't need any type of symbolic inspiration. We need that. If we've been undergoing all of this turmoil in this country, I do believe that it does add and it does help to have candidates who are going to inspire people to hope, change, and be joyful about who they are and where they are. Am I wrong in thinking that, Ashley?
No, I absolutely get that. I support that.
Yeah.
I might be a little on the opposing side.
You're on the opposing side. Let's go. Bring it. Bring the smoke.
No, listen, I totally agree. I just lean closer to, I need to know what's going on here and what are the policies that she's running on. But I get you. I do believe, like you talked about Biden's approval ratings and how before he stepped aside, it was at 31%, right? I'm going to be honest. I wasn't excited about Biden running for re-election. I was not excited about Biden versus Trump. Right. It wasn't exciting. It's just like, here we go, two old white men running for office. One of them's going to get reelected. Whoopee. You know, this isn't something to write home about. And so I agree with you. I just, once again, going back to my earlier point, I just think that a lot of voters, especially progressive voters, want to know where she stands on key issues.
And I agree with that.
Before they cast their vote.
You know what? And I agree with that. You know, there have been a number of articles that I'm coming across, and I'm sure you've probably seen this too, that the Daily Review and other publications are putting out these articles that the Democrats, even in the midst of this vibe shift, even in the midst of all of this momentum, that the message of beating Trump cannot be sustainable. It is not sustainable because in the final stretch of this election season, people need to feel like this is just not an opposition vote, but this is an investment vote, right? So they're just not talking about, oh, I'm just doing this because I don't want to see this other guy in office, but I'm doing this because this person is going to take my interests to the next level. Now, this is government. You know government, I know government. Government is about compromise. You're not going to, everybody, you have all of these folks that are showing their support. You got Republicans for Harris, you got Israeli Americans for Harris, you got black men for Harris, white women for Harris, all of these folks for Harris. But guess what? Somewhere along the line, we have to be very honest and real with ourselves and say, guess what? Hey, everybody is not going to get what we all want. Somewhere along the line, we're going to have to compromise because there just aren't enough resources, money, and all of those things to just appeal to all of these different groups of people. But we should be hopeful. And I think that's part of the reason why you do have this, and the vice president, she said it, that she is a happy warrior, this message of being joyful, this message of her being happy. I think with her and Governor Tim Walz, that they're on that message, whereas the other side is on a fear message. And I was reading something earlier today in preparation for our conversation, and it said the reason that Trump and Vance are taking that approach of fear is that they wanted to bring things to reality. Guess what? We got reality TV shows. We watch cop shows that are real. We have ID channel that tells us about real crime and drama. We got enough reality. like people are actually, I think at the end of the day, a lot of folks actually are searching for a reason to be happy. People want to feel like, well, why should I get involved? What's your take on that? On the happy warrior message? How do you see that, especially covering politics?
Yeah, I'm going to say there's a little bit of both here, where the average American wants to be happy. I think there are a lot of people who are working their dead-end 9 to 5 and just feel like they can't breathe, right? They feel like they're in the matrix and they're just doing the same thing over and over again and aren't really fulfilling their dreams, aren't making the money they want to be making, living in the place they want to be living in, able to take the vacations and afford to travel the world in the way that they would want to. Mm-hmm. And so that's where Trump and Vance, right, J.D. Vance, are trying to appeal to Americans because, yes, people are suffering. That's very much true, where people are suffering. But why are they suffering? Because the House is run by the GOP, right? Mm-hmm. The House is also highly influenced by Donald Trump. The House Speaker takes his cues from Donald Trump, and so many common sense laws have not been passed because Republicans are in control. We have people like Maxine Waters who have tried repeatedly to introduce bills that will help with affordable housing. Yet those things are not getting passed because we don't have Republicans who are jumping onto these bills to pass them. And so it's like on one hand, you have, I don't want to use the word gaslighting, but you have Trump and J.D. Vance talking about the issues that this country is facing. Meanwhile, the people in their own party aren't doing anything to help it. The people who have the power to do things aren't doing it. Let me just stop you right there because we got to take a quick pause. But when we come forward, I want you to finish your thought. But, somebody needs to understand that the psychology of getting people motivated is not doom and gloom. Folks, let's continue the conversation on the other side with Ashley Banks and with you. Stay with us. It's Areva Martin Real Time on KBLA Talk 1580.
She's the real deal in real time. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
To help combat climate change, LADWP is helping neighborhoods have better access to electric vehicles by awarding nearly $130 million in EV rebates to customers just like you. From big savings on used EVs to building new charging plazas, LADWP is charging ahead to help all Angelenos experience the benefits of EVs. Get rebates of up to $4,000 for a used EV and $1,750 for a charger. Learn more at ladwp.com/EV. That's ladwp.com/EV.
Looks like Bobby needs a ride again.
Grab the keys. Let's take our auntie to the swap meet. Grab the keys.
Whether you're giving rides or hauling gear, do it all in a Chevy SUV. Head to your local Chevy dealer, where well-qualified buyers get 1.9% financing on all 2024 Malibu, Colorado, Blazer, Equinox, Trailblazer, and Traverse limited models. Chevrolet, together, let's drive.
1.9% APR for 36 months. Monthly payment is $28.60 for every $1,000 you finance. Example down payment 15.8% must finance with GM Financial. Some customers may not qualify. Not available with lease and some other offers. Take new retail delivery by 7/1/24.
Hey, LA residents, it's planting season and the perfect time to get shade trees growing around your home. LADWP and City Plants are giving every resident up to 7 free trees. That's right, 7 free trees delivered right to your door. Trees are great for the environment, help improve air quality, and can help you save on your bill when you use less plus air conditioning to stay cool indoors. Learn more at ladwp.com/free trees. That's ladwp.com/free trees.
Hello, KBLA listeners. This is Senator Steve Bradford, and I'm inviting you to the 21st Annual Gardena Jazz Festival, Sunday, August 25th at Raleigh Park. And this year's lineup will be amazing, opening up with Fernando Pullum Youth Orchestra. The Inner City Youth Orchestra Jazz Ensemble under the direction of Chuck Dickerson will be cooking with biscuits and gravy. The amazing saxophonist Mindy A. Bear, 8-time Grammy Award-winning a cappella group Take 6, the always soulful Mesa, and the grown and sexy Will Downey Jr. You won't want to miss it. Tickets are on sale. General admission is $30. Box seating is $75. And unfortunately, our reserved seating is all sold out. So for ticket information, you want to go to GardenaJazzFestival.com/tickets. That's GardenaJazzFestival.com/tickets or call 310-217-9537. Look forward to seeing you for a day of fun, music, and family on August 25th for the 21st Annual Gardena Jazz Festival. And remember, well, alcohol-free, smoke-free environment. See you soon.
We're not just a thermometer recording and broadcasting popular opinion. We aim to be a thermostat, transforming the conversation about climate justice in our community. This is KBLA Talk 1580.
My mom has taken up going to the park to practice yoga.
My dad's going to a club, but not a book club, a salsa club.
Finding new hobbies comes with age.
My mom has started getting lost and not knowing where she's going.
Becoming lost or disoriented doesn't. Confusion with time or place may be a sign of Alzheimer's. An early diagnosis can help improve the quality of life for your loved one. Learn the warning signs of Alzheimer's at 10signs.org. Brought to you by the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
The way we spend our time defines who we are. You're listening to Areva Martin in real time on KBLA Talk 1580.
We've been listening to Ashley Banks here, and I'm your special guest host, Farajii Muhammad. And Ashley and I, we are just chopping it up, talking a little bit about this moment that we find ourselves in as the vice president is continuing to build her momentum as she's making her way to the Oval Office, talking about that Time magazine cover that really have spoken to a lot of the concern and then the excitement at the same time. And you know, Ashley, you were talking before we took the pause that you were talking about, you know, just kind of, I would say, creating a balance between the substance versus the symbolism, which I totally agree. I think you and I are on the same page with this. That there has to be the talk of the happy warrior and joy, but then that has to be coupled with making sure that there are policies, that there's accountability and responsibility, and more importantly, that citizens, the American people, are advocating for good policy. And I think that's the fine line that we're in, right? I think we're in a very important moment in that this will force us to become even more engaged and more educated and involved in our political system. I think the days of us, and you tell me if I'm wrong on this, but I think that the days of us, of the American people sitting on the sidelines expecting their representatives to know exactly what they think and we feel and to essentially get it, those days are long gone. We have to say something if we want to see our country, our government truly work for us now in this day and time. What's your take on that?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Farajii. I think people are really rising up and learning their power. I think for so long, people just accept it. You know, I cast my vote, whoever is elected, and I just have to deal with whatever policies they put forth, and whether they fulfill the promises they made to my community or not, I'm just going to have to deal with it. But that is not the case. As a community, as, you know, American citizens, we have the power to shift whatever it is we want to shift in this country. And so I agree. People are coming to the understanding that they don't have to just take it. They have needs, they have wants, and they know in order for those needs and wants to be met that they have to speak up. Closed mouths do not get fed.
Absolutely.
So you have to speak up. And so I would absolutely agree with you there.
Now, there is a price to speaking up, though. as you are covering, right? And your reports on folks, and I highly recommend that folks that you check out Ashley at work when she's talking to some of these political leaders, and she will talk to anybody, whether they're Democrat or Republican. That's one of the great things I think about her work. She will talk to anybody to get their take, and they are willing to talk to her. But when we do see these this level of opposition, and I'm thinking about what we're currently seeing right now with the squad and how U.S. Representative Cori Bush, she lost her primary. We know that Mr. Jamal Bowman lost his primary because of his particular views on the Israel conflict, the Israel-Hamas conflict in Gaza. And now we're seeing Ilhan Omar. She has her election tomorrow. She's going up against a black man by the name of Don Samuels. And there is concern that she may lose that primary as well. So, but these have been people who have spoken up, but there are still some, oppositional forces that play, that when you do speak up, there's going to be a sacrifice made. So can you speak to that, that as much as, yes, we need to speak up, but we also need to be cognizant that there are forces within our very own government that want to keep us quiet, especially when it comes to these moral and human rights issues?
Yeah, absolutely. When it comes to the squad, and I became very close with Jamal Bowman and Cori Bush over the last few months, and I have to say, these are people who are very passionate about the work they do in Congress. We know that there are some politicians who just say whatever you want to hear so that they can get elected and live comfortably, essentially, right off of their government salary and have all the perks that you have when you are a political member. But when it comes to some of these members, especially the two that I just mentioned, they knew what was at stake. They knew what was at risk, but they couldn't turn a blind eye to what was happening in Gaza. They couldn't just sit back and not utilize their platform to speak out against the atrocities. Mm-hmm. They know that they have the president's ear as a lawmaker. And we know that the U.S. is a huge player when it comes to our ally, Israel, and what can be done to stop the bloodshed that's taking place in Gaza. And so while it is unfortunate what happened, but they knew the risk, and I think that people calculate the risk, but make sure it's a well-calculated risk before you take it. But somebody has to do it, right? Somebody has to speak up. Somebody has to make sure that they are speaking up for communities that can't speak for themselves.
Facts.
Whether it be communities here in this country or communities overseas. That's why you're there. That's why you're elected, not to sit quiet and just vote what your party wants you to vote or to just say the things your party wants you to say. You have to speak up. As we know, the squad members, right, they're Democratic progressives.
Right.
But then you have a lot of other Democratic leaders that are lawmakers who didn't agree with them, right? And it was just very divided within the Congressional Democratic caucus when it comes to this specific issue of the Israel-Hamas conflict. And so for them to even have this bold stance while many of the Democratic members were silent about there are more than 40,000 deaths now that have taken place in Gaza, honestly, to a lot of people, Bowman and Bush look like heroes that unfortunately lost their race because they didn't have enough money, because AIPAC deliberately launched this multi-million-dollar initiative to unseat them simply because of their views, which to me, Farajii, is sickening. Knowing what these two members have done for members of the Black community, members of, Hispanic community, any community really, to know that they are simply ousted because of their views on what's going on in Gaza is horrible. Now, if they were being unseated because of the fact that they're just doing nothing, right? They're sitting on their hands and doing nothing, or they're not fulfilling their promises to their people. Cool.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree, and I think you're absolutely correct. I think you're absolutely correct, and I think that this is a lesson for us that the price of standing up and speaking out and speaking truth to power is that you may lose your position in some way, right? There are going to be some consequences of that. And if nothing else, if we know anything about America, that is one of the essential lessons, that as much as you can ascend to the top, at the end of the day, that if you don't play ball with certain groups of people in this country, if you don't push back, or if you choose not to go along to get along, then there are going to be some consequences to that. And we're seeing this among black representatives. We're seeing this from black political leadership all the time. But guess what? Here's the thing, and I think you understand this, what I'm about to say, Ashley. That is the moment that we're in. We do not have the liberty, we do not have the time to be flat-footed. We don't have the time to just shuffle things along or to act as if we got another 50 years in advance. Look at the state of the country in this point. Look at the condition of black America at this point. We have to be dramatic. We have to be dramatic. I got 30 seconds. What's your final take as we look at this moving forward? What's your final analysis right now on this moment that we're in, Ashley?
Yeah, I just want to circle back to the Kamala Harris, what I was talking about earlier with Mark Lamont Hill and others basically saying we need to push back. I think that's what voters really need to focus on right now. Be excited, like you talked about. This joy that we're seeing is beautiful, but also be realistic and ask the questions that you deserve answers to.
There it is.
Your vote matters.
Yep.
You have power and authority as a voter, and whatever you're going through, your president is supposed to help you get through it. So hold Kamala Harris accountable. Make sure that she puts her policies on the table for you to hear. And if you don't like them, voice it.
There it is.
Make it known.
There it is. Ashley Banks, Capitol Hill correspondent. She's a fantastic journalist and writer. We appreciate her commentary, her analysis. Ashley, thank you so much for being here on Areva Martin in Real Time. We truly appreciate you.
Thank you, Farajii.
Absolutely. Up next, we check in with the brother of the minority leader of the House of Representatives. We are going to be checking in with Dr. Hassan Jeffries. His brother is Hakeem Jeffries. We're going to talk to Dr. Hassan Jeffries to talk about the hard history and the efforts to teach it accurately and effectively on the other side. Stay with us. We still got a lot more in the next hour here on Areva Martin in Real Time. I'm Farajii Muhammad, your special guest host, and this is KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Amber Payton. Here's the latest on the Black Information Network. Minnesota Attorney General Keith Ellison is encouraging Rochester residents to reject hate and build a more welcoming, inclusive community. The Attorney General, who is black, was among several elected leaders and local officials who attended an anti-hate rally in Rochester over the weekend. The local NAACP branch organized the rally after several incidents of vandalism involving racist symbols and slurs in the last few weeks. Ellison said those who practice hate speech and vandalism need to know that they are being lied to and used by others